Most patient education fails the moment it starts. It speaks in bullet points, it lectures, it assumes that understanding equals action. But it doesn't, because knowing what to do is not the same as doing it, especially when patients are stressed, distracted, or in pain. In this video, we're reviewing 8 microlearning examples that flipped that script. Not theory, not inspiration. These are real, tested interventions that move the needle on behavior, on medication adherence, wound care, lifestyle change, and more. If you're a healthcare educator or training leader who's tired of content that looks good but doesn't do anything, this is your blueprint. Let's look at what actually works.
If you're expecting, here's what you need to know about genetic screening and diagnostic testing during pregnancy. Testing during your pregnancy gives parents-to-be information about whether or not their baby, also known as a fetus, may be at risk of having birth defects or genetic conditions. Some genetic tests offered during pregnancy can detect chromosome conditions, like Down syndrome, due to an extra copy of chromosome 21, or other rare conditions that involve too few or too many copies of other chromosomes. A screening test can tell you the chances or likelihood that your fetus has a chromosome condition. Both screening and diagnostic tests are offered to all pregnant women, regardless of their age. Chromosome conditions can occur in pregnancies of women at any age.
For some people with kidney failure, a kidney transplant can offer a chance to live without dialysis. But it's important to understand the process, benefits, and risks. A kidney transplant involves placing a healthy kidney from a donor into your body to filter your blood. The donor can be a living person, often a family member or friend, or someone who has passed away and chosen to donate their organs. One of the main benefits of kidney transplant is the freedom from dialysis. With a successful transplant, you may have more energy, fewer dietary restrictions, and more flexibility in your daily life. But like any surgery, a transplant comes with risks.
Standing hip abduction. Standing hip abduction is vital for improving glue strength and hip mobility. For this routine, stand upright, hold onto the chair for support, kick your leg out to the side without bending forward at the hip. As you move, avoid turning your foot out and make sure that you are upright, not leaning to the side.
Your surgeon has advised you to keep your surgical site elevated. Elevating your extremity helps minimize swelling and pain. If you notice your dressing or splint getting tight, it's time to elevate. Ideally, you should elevate your extremity above your heart's level. This varies depending on whether you are sitting, standing, or lying down. For example, if you're wearing a sling and standing, your hand would be below your heart. But if you're lying on your back, your hand would be above your heart. Sometimes it's impossible to keep your surgical site continuously above your heart's level, like when sitting.
This video will guide you through the steps to mix your Trimix injectable prior to use. You should also review the videos for injecting your medication, as well as for priapism. Now, let's walk through the simple steps to reconstitute your Trimix prior to use. Your Trimix will arrive lyophilized, in powder form, and will need to be reconstituted with bacteriostatic water prior to use. Before it is mixed with water, your Trimix powder can be kept at room temperature, although it is a good habit to store unmixed Trimix in the refrigerator.
There have always been questions surrounding who we are and what happens to us after death. As far back as 2,500 years ago, a Greek philosopher named Democritus proposed that everything is composed of smaller, indivisible atoms, and argued that the psyche, which is the Greek word for self, was produced by the body, and so died with the body. On the other hand, at the same time in history, other Greek philosophers, Socrates and Plato, argued that the self is separate from the body, and therefore continues after death. Due to this being an era before science, from then on people had to choose between one of these views, simply based on their own personal beliefs. It wasn't until the 20th century, after science and medicine progressed.
Newborn screening is a public health initiative that screens all babies in the United States for certain serious health conditions. The goal of newborn screening is to identify babies at risk for certain serious health conditions and start them with early care as quickly as possible. The Cohens are asked to come into the doctor's office to learn more about Isaac's out-of-range newborn screening result. The Cohens tell the doctor that they had never heard of newborn screening before and didn't even know it happened.
Stress overload is a risk that comes with being a first responder. Although some stress can be a good thing, feeling overwhelmed is a different story. Things like high adrenaline, restlessness, and fatigue can disguise your stress, making you believe you have it under control. Note that worry, anger, fear, and sadness are all normal, healthy stress responses. But when it's hard to get things done and handle things well, that's unhealthy stress. Things like bodily sensations, strong negative feelings, trouble thinking clearly, problematic or risky behavior, and social conflicts that occur for longer than a couple of weeks are all typical signs of stress overload. So, listen to your body and talk to someone before you reach the brink of burnout. And if you're approached about your stress overload, just talk about it. Be open and honest about how stress is affecting you. As a first responder, you strive to be the best version of yourself every shift. Asking for help when you need it makes it so you can be that for yourself and those you serve.
Curious about building your own microlearning like this? We've got your back. Click the video cards for step-by-step videos, subscribe for weekly tips, and check the description for a curated list of resources to kickstart your journey.